Hello, I'm Matthew Williams, manager of Reading Museum. And as you've heard, our town's an ancient place, over 1,000 years old, with evidence of human occupation going back over 400,000 years. But today we're focusing on the nationally important heritage of Reading Abbey, which will be 900 years old on the 18th of June 2021. The ruins that you can see today, that you've just seen in our film, are impressive, but are really only a small part of the original Abbey. As you can see here on this digital reconstruction, it was a vast monastery stretching across a large part of modern Reading. And in fact, it was probably bigger than Westminster Abbey, and the size of the central tower is as big as the Blade the office block that you've just seen in our last film. The ruins are set in our wider Abbey Quarter. This was one of the largest precincts of a medieval monastery in Northern Europe, and today the whole Abbey Quarter stretches between two contemporary iconic landmarks of Reading, our striking 21st century railway station and the former historic prison where Oscar Wilde was imprisoned in the late 19th century. The quarter encompasses over 1,000 years of history with over 60 protected buildings, and it's very handy for the station, even has a coach drop-off point right by Reading Museum in the heart of the quarter. Reading Abbey was a royal abbey and very important in our national story. It was founded in 1121 by Henry I, King of England, and he spared no expense on building his vast monastery, bringing stone from Normandy and Oxfordshire. It was one of the largest and wealthiest monasteries in Europe, the scene of many royal events, weddings, courts, and even parliaments. And this lasted until Henry VIII dissolved it in 1539. The bloody events included the execution of the last abbot, Hugh Farringdon, in front of the Abbey church. Many of the buildings then survived as a royal palace. In fact, it was one of the favourite palaces of Elizabeth I, and you can see her portrait here at Reading Museum. The Abbey fared pretty well until the 1640s, when the English Civil War, which you've just again seen in our film, destroyed much of the site. Fortifications were even cut through the Abbey church, and much of Elizabeth's royal palace was destroyed. Luckily, the beautiful Abbey Gateway in the centre of the Abbey Quarter today survived and was actually the site of the school attended by Jane Austen, one of our greatest authors, and her sister Cassandra in 1785. In the Victorian period, Reading saw a renaissance, particularly with Hunt and Palmer's biscuit factory, which was based just the other side of the prison and was the largest biscuit factory in the world. And this led to the revitalisation of the town centre with the beautiful Forbury Gardens, with their centrepiece being the Maywand lion, and also, of course, more notorious events such as the imprisonment of Oscar Wilde in the jail. But in 2021, we're concerned about Henry I. So who was Henry? Well, in fact, he was the youngest son of one of our most famous kings, William the Conqueror. Many of you know the story of 1066 and all that. And in fact, Reading has a unique copy of the Bower Tapestry which tells that story, which you can see here at Reading Museum. Now, Henry was the youngest son. He wasn't expected to be king, but he snatched the English crown when his brother, William Rufus, was killed in a suspect hunting accident, and Henry was crowned within 3 days at Westminster Abbey. Things were looking up for Henry until in 1120, his only legitimate son drowned in a shipwreck in the English Channel, leaving his daughter, Empress Matilda, as his heir. Henry had to consolidate by founding Reading Abbey to show the power of his dynasty and to impress the wider world. And when he died in 1135 in Normandy, he was brought back to Reading and buried in front of the Abbey's high altar in 1136. You can see the plaque here on the slide, which marks the spot. So in next year, in 2021, we hope to celebrate the anniversary in June with open-air events, reenactments, theatre, fairs, music, very similar to our grand reopening of the Abbey in 2018 when we spent £3 million on conserving the ruins that you can see today. You can visit throughout 2021 though, not just in June. The ruins are open every day. Really, you can make it part of your Great West tour, and they are very much central to a day trip to Reading or a short break. So, what's it like to visit the Abbey Quarter? Well, your starting point is here at the museum, housed in the stunning, beautiful Victorian Gothic building you can see on the slide, only 2-minute walks from our iconic 21st century railway station. And we safely reopened in September, and we have the good to go standard, as you can see. So how long does it take to visit the site? And we certainly recommend at least 2 hours or half a day to really enjoy the site, to see the museum, to visit the Abbey Court and the ruins, and to have time for refreshments and shopping in Reading town centre. At the museum, there's plenty to see and do. We have 10 galleries to explore, from archaeology and biscuit tins and natural history from Windsor Great Park to our exhibitions in our Sir John Madacey's art gallery. But in Abbey 900, there are 2 key galleries to visit. That unique bare tapestry, over 70 metres long, exactly the same as the original in Normandy, that was created in 1885, that tells the story of Henry's father, William the Conqueror. And of course, our new Story of Reading gallery introduces Reading and the Abbey to our visitors, including a full-size reconstruction of the Abbey cloister, and also features impressive original Abbey objects, even a 12th century book from the original Abbey library. And of course, we have our shop with Abbey books, gifts and souvenirs, and of course, those all-important toilets. Nearby, we have a cafe in the town hall and many other independent and chain cafes around the Abbey Quarter. The quarter itself can be explored in advance on our special Abbey Quarter website, particularly our special interactive map that you can see here on the link on our website. This links to our extensive network of on-site interpretation panels, over 20 in total, which explore the history of the site. These can be used to take a guided tour, a self-guided tour of the Abbey, which you can start at the museum and pick up a printed map, or follow using a mobile device to follow our website and take a self-guided tour of over 900 years of the history, from the museum via Town Hall Square, St Lawrence's Church, the Forbury Gardens, the Abbey Gateway, and of course the Abbey ruins themselves. And finally, we have guided tours. These always start at the museum for between 10 and 20 people at the Story of Reading Gallery and are led by our knowledgeable, friendly volunteer guides. They take about 90 minutes and explore the key features of the quarter, from the medieval hospitium, where the medieval pilgrims stayed, behind St Lawrence's Church, looking at the English Civil War and the Forbury Gardens, and of course finishing at the newly conserved Abbey ruins. These need to be booked in advance via the museum website. Please just have a look at the Your Visit section. And of course, as I said, there's a handy drop-off point for coaches right by the museum. We look forward to welcoming you to Reading.